Hey folks, this is Dr. Van Breeding with Mountain Comprehensive Health Corporation. Family is the heart of these mountains that make up Appalachia, and the health and happiness of each family member is our priority. It's why MCHC has established clinics throughout our region to bring health care closer to home. MCHC is proud to have the best providers and medical staff caring for your entire family. I urge you to schedule a preventative checkup today because a healthy family is a happy family. MCHC, providing better health for a longer life.
You know the drill with Wes Smith. Wes Smith. Presented by MCHC.
So I promise this podcast is not only going to be about basketball. It's not only going to be about Kentucky basketball. However, we are going to have a lot more basketball than anything else. Obviously, you guys know my love for basketball, so expect a lot more basketball, but baseball, I promise you we're going to get all of that on here. Hell, if you get me a chess player from somewhere, I'll put them on here if you want me to talk to them. Just tell me who you want and I'll get them, but mostly basketball. Last week we had Nate Sestina. This week we have another tie to Kentucky basketball. Really, really excited for this one. He has one of the coolest birthdays anybody has ever had in May, on May the 9th. This is a guy who came to Kentucky, from Kentucky, came to Kentucky basketball over top of Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Georgia. I think you all had offers from. Tell me if I'm wrong with that when we get there. But this week's episode, ladies and gentlemen, Jon Hood.
Buddy, thank you for having me.
Hey, we appreciate you being on here, man. We're excited about it. I share a birthday with you. I mean, how cool is that? I get to talk to you on here. One of my best friends of all time. We share a birthday. I mean, this is it, man. This is what it's about.
Yeah, you were in my wedding. I was in yours.
Yeah.
It's special.
Oh yeah.
Happy to be on here.
Oh yeah. I feel like there was even a point in time that your wife Tara, I've called her mom many of a time. I know you remember those days.
Yep, sure do. It was mom and dad there for a while.
Mom and dad there for a while. Oh yeah, I remember the days. I feel like we hung out a lot over at Merritt Place for a while. I remember those days over off Tate's Creek. Yep. Long history here with Jon Hood. I'm so excited for. I actually had, as most of you probably know, had the opportunity to join a teammate of Jon Hood from Madisonville, Caleb Nelson. Got to join his staff there at your former high school, Madisonville North Hopkins, there for a while. So we've just got ties all around, man.
We do. I moved away from Madisonville, and you moved to Madisonville. I didn't really understand that one, but yeah. We get it now.
I hate how that worked. I actually, the whole time I was in Madisonville, I ran into Kelly Hood one time, and it was at Kroger in the parking lot. And I remember I was walking by, she yelled at me, and I turned around, we talked, and she, at the end of it, she said, "Well, I'm going to have to tell Jon that you really do live here. It's not just a lie. You're really here." But Jon, we're glad to have you on here, man. I do want to talk a little Kentucky basketball with you just for a minute. I also want to talk about some Griffins with you here at Missouri Western State. And then mostly, though, it is a big week here in Lexington, Kentucky. Something that we've referred to on a few episodes in the past, but the TBT tournament, one of the regional spots here in Lexington this week, Friday, right?
Yep.
Friday.
First game's Friday.
First game Friday. I want to talk about that mostly with you, but man, excited about that. A lot of people get really confused. TBT, I feel like the most common question from a lot of people is, what is TBT? What does it stand for? But the basketball tournament, right?
Yep. That's we're when we tell you TBT stands for the basketball tournament, I promise it's not us being rude. It's just that's what it stands for. I don't know who came up with that marketing idea, but I mean, pretty simple. They also had the same group, and it's TBT's been around for a while, at least 9 years. They just, I think it was this year or last year, they had the TST, the soccer tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a 7-on-7, I believe, is what it was. Same type of situation and same type of stuff, but TBT has a little different, exciting set of rules as far as the end game goes. But it's great. We've got alumni coming back and guys with ties to the program, so it's going to be great to see everybody.
So, like you said, this tournament been around 9, 10, somewhere in there, amount of time. And correct me if I'm wrong. It's pretty much an open tournament, right? I mean, it's
right.
Technically
Right.
anyone can play.
Yes. I mean, technically, yes. You're not going to see many NBA guys come play just because for a share of the prize money, those guys are not getting out of bed.
Right.
It's not going to happen. They're not. I mean, and guys are playing in summer league and trying to get contracts. And so what you're going to see when you watch, and it's on Fox Sports 1, 2, and I think all the games are on the website. I think it's thetournament.com. I'm not sure. I'm not for certain, but
that's it.
That's it. You're going to see a lot of overseas pros, a lot of guys that are playing in Turkey, Spain, Italy, Portugal, Dubai, France. I mean, it's all these places over there that are big time leagues. And I mean, Australia, I know they have a couple Americans that are playing in it, and it's big time. 64 teams, single elimination. The winner does not get a trophy, but they get $1 million to split however many ways. That's what we're going for.
And that's just so crazy to me to think about. I was reading up a little bit on the history of it this weekend, and John, it's like, man, I feel so weird calling you John too. By the way, I always call you Hood, and I'm
strange.
on this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you Hood. Yeah,
that's fine.
But reading up a little bit on this history, it kind of just started, from my understanding, as a text message thread. I can't remember the guy.
Yep.
And it pretty much posed the question: if there was a league and the winner got $50 million, who would play in it? And
everybody.
Everybody would play in it. And so it just kind of stemmed from that. And did you realize, and you might have known this, have you read about the first ever TBT game?
No, I have not.
So, Hood, we're at the point now that we've got teams like La Familia, and we'll get to how you're associated with La Familia here in just a little bit. But all of these teams and all of these well-known players coming to play in this, tickets are selling. I think last year's TBT was record-breaking for attendance as far as the tournament goes. But 2014 in Philadelphia. Now, how crazy is this? I think you're going to love this. They had no sponsors, no partners. The first ever TBT game tipped off Philadelphia in front of 17 fans. 17 fans.
I remember. So I didn't know if it was that year or the year after, but somebody approached me, sent me an Instagram DM or something, and wanted me to put a team in it. And my response back was, guys, I cannot get the level of players that y'all are looking for to do this. Like, John Wall ain't coming. He's making 40. He's at that time. I think he's making 18. I mean, salary cap and contracts have gone through the roof since then. But he was making $18 million a year.
Yeah,
something like that. Like, he ain't playing, guys. It's not going to happen. All these guys are still in the league. Like, there's no point.
Yeah.
But it is great to see how it's grown, and it gives us competitive basketball with something on the line and something to play for in July and August. And that's, you're a basketball junkie. That's what I want.
Absolutely.
Anytime I can watch basketball, I'm going to watch basketball.
I absolutely. I've already got tickets for Friday to watch the games. You know me, I'm going to be there. If I've
Yep.
got the opportunity, I'm like you. If I can watch basketball, I'm going to watch it. And these are professional players that you're going to watch. They're former Division One, high level, high major basketball players, and current overseas players, former NBA players. So
Yep.
really good basketball. Hood, how did this? So I feel like somehow Tawny Beckham was behind this. How did you were just talking about they had talked to you about getting some of these guys? How did La Familia start? And before you answer that, it seems that ever since the start of the TBT, although it's an open tournament, it seems to be alumni groups that kind of gather together. And
The majority of it, yeah.
yeah, so
So,
as far as
yeah,
La
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Familia, tell us.
So, La Familia is a Cal term, and
Yep,
this idea of it started before Coach left for Arkansas, and that's why it was La Familia. And then afterwards, like there was, I believe, a little bit of talk of, well, are we going to change it? And no, that's who we are. Like
I
it's
love
it's the
that.
same. It's the same group, but I will say, not many people could put this together. Not many people could get this amount of guys to come play. It takes a special person. It takes a special vision and personality to do it. And I mean, you were around him a little bit, but Tawny Beckham is, and I've been in town for a few days now, and been to a couple of the Champions Weekend events. I've played. I know I didn't tell you, but I played in the Champions class or alumni game last night.
Over at Tate's
I
Creek.
have, yeah, I have no legs. They're gone. But
So we're not going to talk
Tawny
about your
putting all this
performance in
together.
that game.
Oh no, not at all. Tawny putting all this together, no one could do it like Tawny has. He's got sponsors. He's marketed everything just like a genius. And like I said, it takes a special person to do it. And I know for sure at least a couple of the guys would not be doing it if it wasn't Tawny, because you can't. I mean, you can't hate Tawny. You can't not like Tawny. He's
Right.
such a likable guy. He was my roommate for a year. I mean, another one. Tawny was at the wedding.
Yeah. Yep. Tawny was there.
Yep.
I remember Tawny and EJ both well in the dance circle toward the end of the wedding at the reception there.
Marcus Lee as well. Yeah.
Marcus Lee was there as well. Yeah, that was an experience in itself. But we won't throw him under the bus with all that. But yeah, so yeah, and it seems you look down the roster of La Familia, and I know that Big Blue Nation is excited about seeing a lot of those guys come back and play and see you with them and all these guys together. And I love how you put that at the first. Do we change the name? Cal left. Cal kind of started the name. Do we change it? No. That's it's the family. I love that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's great. And absolutely good job putting this together. Now, one thing I want to ask you about. I'm excited to hear. We know you're at Missouri Western State University right now, coaching, and you will be a coach with La Familia, correct?
Yep.
So
Yes.
I'm excited to hear, and I could be pronouncing it wrong. I hope I'm not, but I remember it from the 2020 NBA draft or NBA All-Star game. A lot of people will remember it from that as well. The Elam ending. Am I saying
Yep.
that right?
Elam ending.
The
Yep.
Elam ending. How do you feel about it?
It's different,
Yeah.
but it's a way to. Uh, it's a way to. Certainly a way to end the game. That's for sure. It's a way to keep the fans um, interested in it. And I mean, honestly, you've seen a lot with baseball here recently,
Yeah.
and Major League Baseball with the pitch clock and everything, making the game faster. Well, at the first dead ball, after what is it, the 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter,
Yep.
first dead ball, winning team, you add 8 points.
That's
and
the target
it's
score.
it's a race to that target score. Well,
No
I mean,
clock.
so exactly, you bring in strategy and everything else with it. So if you're up 5 to 10, as soon as you see 3:59 on the clock, call timeout. If you see 3:59 on the clock and you're on defense, foul somebody. Get them to stop the clock so that you have that lead. Now, if you're down, it's a little different.
Yeah.
You can either roll the dice and hope that the other team doesn't call timeout, or it's a different animal. There's much more. I mean, it calls for much more efficiency. It calls for much more strategy, and we're working out what we want to do and trying to get all eventualities down.
So is this? I know you've talked to me. I talked to you a little bit earlier today. I know you have a coaches meeting and a team meeting today. What are some things you talk about? How do you approach this? Because obviously, yeah, this is a little more lighthearted fun, but there's prize money
Oh yeah,
that you're trying to win, so it's also serious.
yep.
What kind of preparation goes into a matchup like Friday?
Look, I've watched a large amount of film on every one of their players that I can find on Synergy. You know, I'm
Oh yeah,
a Synergy account guru, not guru, Synergy nut. I'll watch nonstop stuff. We've I've got and all of our guys have put together offensive packages and what we want to do, but you're together for less than a month. I mean, we've got a week and a half of practice, a week of practice. You're not going to put in the Princeton offense. So it's
right.
and you think these guys are pros and you'll know, and I hope the listeners do, but I hope they understand it's not going to be you come down box 45 rip pop. Like these are pros. You're coming down and running a handoff to a ball screen and letting them play.
Absolutely,
You're
absolutely.
giving them the first part, basically the first 5 to 6 seconds, 5 to 7 seconds of what you want them to do, if that, and they're making a play. Now they'll go out there and it's in the weeds now, but they'll go out there and flip and twist ball screens and set flares, rips, elevators, whatever. They'll play and they'll communicate. And if you're a true basketball like nut, you want to watch that because you can see the communication on the court.
Oh yeah.
And it's not just communication on defense, it's communication on offense on what they want. So it's going to be interesting and I mean getting the guys around each other and getting them familiar with each other and the terminology that kind of each of them use because it's different. I mean Nate Sestina's playing with us. It's different where he was in Turkey playing for Fenerbahce or playing for Fenner, we'll say that, than it is Bledsoe who's playing with the Shanghai Sharks. So
Exactly.
you got to have common terminology. That's the biggest thing. One of the main things we'll say, I'm sure, is look, Alumni Weekend was this past weekend. This is not an alumni event. This is trying to win money.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what we're doing. So
And I've seen some confusion, and I want to make sure, we told listeners earlier that it's kind of turned into essentially schools will get alumni groups together and former players, but not all are like that. You're going to see a lot of teams, like for instance, the Heard That team that I think is in your bracket for
yep,
this area. You're going to see a lot of Marshall alumni. But you're also going
right,
to see some other people sprinkled in because, like you said, you're there to win money. Yeah, we'll put an
right.
alumni group together, but if we can get a stud to really help us come out here, we're going to take them too.
Right.
I'm curious to hear, and I want to tie two things together right here. You were Kentucky Gatorade Player of the Year in high school.
Yep.
You were Kentucky Mr. Basketball. This was 2009, right?
Yep.
Kentucky Mr. Basketball. So you have a tie to the KHSAA in the Sweet 16, the tournament. We just talked about the Elam ending, and I want to start this connection by saying I think one of the things that makes that so exciting is it's different, right?
Yep. It is.
It kind of goes, if basketball completely switched to that, it would lose its wow factor. It's different. It makes you think. It makes you strategize differently than you normally have to, and that's what
Yep.
makes it great. So let's tie that together. How do you feel with the big talk going on right now with the shot clock coming to Kentucky high school basketball? I've
I
got to
hope
throw
it
it out there
happens.
to you.
I hope it happens. Now I know that you all in Madisonville last year, y'all didn't need a shot clock. As soon as y'all could get one up there, you were going to get one up and try to go rebound it. It was like how legendary Coach Kerry Stovall used to coach at Christian County.
Yeah,
First chance you get in an open one, get it up there, and we're going to go rebound it. I
yeah,
know that's what you all did because I
absolutely.
watched enough games. But there are teams in this state and that have done it for a long time that will get a 2-0 lead and hold the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
they'll do it in summer league. And I say that because they'll do it. They did it to me.
Yeah.
They did it to us when I played there.
Yep.
One of the things, like when I go recruit, I'll go out and I'll see the best events are the events with shot clocks, because you're not going to sit there and run ball screen continuity to 4 sides. Anybody can do that. Anybody. Show us that you can play. Show us that you have the basketball IQ to score in 30 seconds or
Yep.
24, whatever it may be. 35. That's what it was when I was in college. 35, even 30 now. It's 30 seconds is an eternity.
Yes.
If you can't run an offense in 30 seconds, then you deserve the turnover. And trust me, we got plenty of them this past year with us. But I think it does nothing but help the game.
I have to agree with you, and you're familiar with Winston Lee. He and a lot of our
Yep.
listeners are. He will argue this with me at times, but I have to agree with you. And I think I've seen so many times. You've been to Pippa Passes, Kentucky before. It used to be
Yep.
we talk about that a lot on the show, being on staff at Alice Lloyd College. And I hate to say this, I love the mountains. I love Eastern Kentucky, but Eastern Kentucky teams in the past have been notorious for doing what you mentioned, getting a small lead, holding the ball.
Well, so have far Western Kentucky teams.
They have.
So I'll make sure I say
Yeah.
that. I'm not just saying Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah. But it's prevalent in all areas of the state, like you
Right.
said. And one thing that I noticed, even at the NAIA level, is it can make or break you as a kid coming into college. I saw a lot of players who were pretty good high school players because they fit into the system with the coach they were in. But they
Yep.
come to college, and it's like you said, they didn't have the IQ or the understanding of the game to be able to score in 30 seconds.
Right.
And it was a struggle for them to learn that, and it put them further behind, and then they didn't make it. So I think it helps the game as well. I have to agree with you 100% on that. So with that being said, I'm going to throw it out there. He'll appreciate this. I know you remember Brady Kennedy.
Yep.
Brady threw out the question to me, college baseball, wood bat or metal bat? Should they go to the wood bat?
That's like that type of question, and that question goes right along with, should college basketball, men's basketball, go to quarters? They're
Absolutely.
it's the only two that do it.
Yep.
At least in college softball, you have metal bats.
Yep.
So I don't watch enough of it. Obviously, I watched when Kentucky made the run and great season this past year, but
Right.
I don't watch enough of it to truly give you an honest opinion. I will say that there are pros and cons to switching to 4 quarters for college basketball.
Yeah. How do you feel about that
Now,
then? Answer that one.
it would take me a while and it took me a while to get used to our media timeouts in the MIAA, because we are 15-10-5 instead of the SEC 16-12-8-4.
Yep.
So it's different, and that's the thing. Everybody's always afraid of the change, and all these. I'm sure there are a bunch of high school coaches out there that are going, oh no, don't give us a shot clock. We don't want that. We've done things forever this way. It'll be the same thing in college basketball when inevitably they go to 4 quarters. There will be an adjustment period, but if it is what's best for the game, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, you have to give it a chance.
I'm with you, and I think you said it right. Change,
Yep.
and so many people are afraid of it, and I think we even saw that with baseball. You mentioned earlier in the show the pitching clock. There were a lot of people that were really afraid of that at first. I think and
It's going
changing
to
the
tear up
game.
people's arms and all
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, and now it's already the initial change was scary, but
Yep.
I feel like it's already kind of died down to the point that it's kind of settled in, and it's you know. The Reds games I've been to, I've not even paid that much attention to it at this point. I feel like
No.
pitchers have gotten used to it, teams have gotten used to it. I'm like you, Hood. I told when Brady posed that question to me, I had to explain to him that I was the kid out in right field in T-ball that they put out there because the ball didn't make it back there to me. Baseball was
Well,
not my forte.
yeah. When I would pitch, I didn't care if you stepped out or not. I was going to take my time. I was going to throw it when I was ready to throw it. So
Oh.
it may have bothered me a little bit.
They were not going to let me pitch. Let's just put it that way. I was not going to pitch. Let's. I want to pick your brain on this. So I've got high school basketball, and I want to give you a second here in a minute to tell us a little bit about the Griffs over in
Yep.
Western Missouri. But before we do that, there is a lot of talk. We're on this show. We're here in Lexington. You're in Lexington right now, so I've got to ask this question. As a matter of fact, over the last 2 episodes, the most common questions I've got through text or phone calls is, why didn't you ask them this? So here we go. All right, are you ready?
All right. Yep.
The Mark Pope era of Kentucky basketball.
Yep.
It's going to be a little bit of a change from the John Calipari era when you were in Lexington.
Right.
Roster's going to look a little different. I feel like strategy's going to look a little different. Play style's going to look a little bit different. How do you feel about this upcoming Mark Pope era of Kentucky basketball?
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch as a former player. When I'm able to watch games, we watch games. You know that. I'll text you after certain games. You'll text me after certain games, and I'll hit you back with, I have no idea what happened. We just got done playing. So, it, like you said, it is going to look different. From the film study that I did on Coach Pope when he was at BYU, I mean, obviously, and the reason I did it was they had one of the best offenses in the country for majority of the year.
Yep.
They have they have a big man that can really pass and could really shoot it. And that's what we have. So, that's why I did it. First of all, it wasn't just to say, all right, what's Coach Pope doing?
Right.
Who is this guy? It was so it could help us, but
Yeah.
it's going to look different. They're going to shoot a lot of threes if they're doing anything the same. I have not been to practice yet. I plan on going and watching and learning some this week if I'm able to. It's going to be, from what I can tell outside looking in, Coach Pope is extremely energetic. He's and the words I've gotten are, the phrase I've gotten is what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have no idea. He says he wants to make it about Kentucky. I mean, listen. I hope so. It'd be great. All I can say is it's going to look different. I think it's good for both sides. The change. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything on here or behind closed doors, anything bad about Coach Cal.
Right.
I have nothing to say about him. That was a great 5 years, and I thank Coach for everything. I texted him when he got the job or when he took the job. I think it's going to be, like I said, different, a good change, a refresh that I think that the fans were clamoring for a long time. Um, I wish him the best. I hope he does amazing this year. Tubby won it in his first year.
Yeah.
I will say there was no transfer portal when Tubby was the coach.
Yeah.
So for the fans that I've heard that a couple times. Well, Tubby won it in his first year. Yes, he did. Times are different now. Do I hope Coach Pope wins it? Absolutely. I hope he wins it in his first year, his second year, and it's just Kentucky for the rest of the way.
Yep.
But we'll see. I'll be able to shoot you a text and let you know a little bit, hopefully, if I'm able to get in there.
That was actually going to be my next question. You answered that. I was going to ask if you had been able to get into the gym at all to see some practice since you've been back in town. I'm like you, Hood. I'm a little bit excited. Again, I'm not going to take anything away from Coach Cal. He deserves some recognition for the things he did here at Kentucky. Like you said, you're one of the most winningest players in Kentucky basketball history through your 5 years at Kentucky. But it's like you said, right? This is the Big Blue Nation.
Yep.
15 years is a long time for a coach to be in the realm of a blue blood school like Kentucky.
It is, and I mean, recency bias. Some fans will have that, and they'll say it's different. But the level of winning that Coach did, and that those teams were able to do, is that's something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was fortunate enough to play with the players that I did, and was able to be a part of those teams that won those games. But I mean, it's coached in the Hall of Fame for a reason.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, you're one of my best friends. I tell everybody, I will not be surprised. Although fans were so excited for the change and it was a refresher, like you spoke about. I'm not going to be surprised if Arkansas don't make a really good run in the next year or two in the NCAA tournament. I just feel like a cow backed up in a corner is a dangerous cow.
That is a better way to put it than the way I probably would have. You know me, I'm pretty blunt with it.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's why we love you. That's why I wanted you on here.
An angry, motivated Coach Cal it's not something you want to see on the roster.
Yeah.
Or not on the roster, not something you want to see on the schedule.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen and heard, Coach has the motivation back, not motivation back, but he's almost like he's gotten younger.
Yeah, he took stepped a few years back, I feel like.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Now I haven't seen him on the recruiting trail. I've seen others. I've seen every coach out there is out. I mean, in some of the places that we go, but I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be fun. That's for sure. I know that they play, Arkansas plays Illinois in the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City on Thanksgiving. And I mean, I'm 30 minutes away from the T-Mobile Center.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit somebody up about tickets just so I can go see Coach.
Absolutely.
Just so I can see Coach and KP and then, I mean, for Illinois, O's there, Antigua's there. So, I mean, those are guys that coached me and mentors in the coaching world. And that's any chance you get to see them, you have to do it.
Yeah. Well, last, I know I'm running out of little time with you here, so I want to get in a couple things that I like to get in with all my guests, and this is going to be really good with you. I just mentioned you're one of the most all-time winningest players in Kentucky basketball history. I asked Nate Sestina last week his favorite moment as a Kentucky Wildcat. I want to ask you, too, and yours could be interesting because you've got a national championship under your belt, and you've got those Final Fours. I'll tell you my favorite Jon Hood memory as a Kentucky Wildcat.
Oh, no.
And, man, I don't know if you remember sophomore season, I think, with you. That would have been 2010, 2011.
Yep.
Florida, the buzzer beater
Before half
before half.
with Chandler. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Chandler Parsons was guarding me, and I said, I looked at the clock and like, whatever play call we had, Jared and I were both out there, and one of us was supposed to, like, it's like very little time. Like, I looked at Chandler and said, "I'm popping," and he said, "No, you're not." Like, okay, and I just pop and get one off real quick. But no, that's. I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say the Madness campouts, Papa John's.
That's my second favorite. That's my second favorite memory.
Handing out Papa John's. I was like, I know this guy. How do I know? Oh, if I remember right, Clay County, right?
Yes. Yep.
Clay County high jumper. That's who that is. Yeah.
Yeah. For the listeners out there, Jon Hood and I had a little high jump competition through high school, and I guess I'll say this for the world to hear on here. You definitely got the best of me. I think every time we met, every single time. So I don't know how much of a competition it ended up being, but
Oh, to answer your question, my favorite was the pickup games in the summer. That's the best. And when I was there, and it wasn't, it's not the same. I mean, out where I am now, and we can do a part two of this if you want, and go on forever. But when I was at Kentucky, we played pickup every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. We'd maybe take Sundays off, maybe Saturday if guys went out of town or something like that, had something to do. But we played every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, and it was best of 7 or best of 5, switch teams, stuff like that. Those pickup games were some of the best games that I've ever been a part of. I mean, I remember my senior night, they asked me after the game, and I was a little emotional after the game in the little media scrum or whatever it was, who my top 5 or my starting lineup, dream starting lineup of teammates was. And I asked, can I put myself in there? And they said, yeah. I said, okay, then it's John Wall at 1, Eric Bledsoe at 2, Jon Hood at 3, DeMarcus Cousins at 4, Daniel Orton at 5, because that was our 2009 recruiting class.
yeah.
And no one will ever be able to convince me in anything else. That was the best recruiting class of all time. And that's without adding
Yes.
junior college transfer Darnell Dodson.
Mm-hmm.
And those games and those memories and moments will always be the best in my opinion, because that's where you got better. That's where you grew closer. That's where you solved problems on the court. It's therapy to a certain extent at that point. And regardless of whoever was on the team, I mean, I counted them the other day. It's 26 NBA draft picks, 32 total professionals that I played with, and
Unbelievable.
it's thankfully they did the math for me. It was like 3 years ago now, 1.7 or 1.8 billion dollars in contract money. That's but you get in between the lines with those guys, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
It was at Kentucky. Everybody could play, and everybody had a chance to go out, show what they could do, and just that's, like I said, it's how we got to know each other. That was the big thing. Like, you have a new crop of freshmen coming in every year. How are you going to get to know them? We're going to play pickup every day.
That's where your team's formed.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But that was my favorite, just those pickup games.
Absolutely unbelievable memory. See, that's why I like you on here, to hear things like that. That's great. I told Nate last week, he had me fired up. He was talking about the call he got when he found out he was going to come to Kentucky, and I told him he had me fired up. I thought I was going to put my name in the portal, and then here you are telling me about those pickup games, and I'm ready again. I'm ready to go blow a knee out here playing at the YMCA or something. But
So let's not do that. We the pickup game that we played in the Eagles Nest years ago that's a long ways behind us, buddy.
That's behind us. Yep. we need Brian Hood's defense back for that.
Hey, no, he can't do it. He can't do it anymore either.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Jon Hood. Hood, I know you've got a coaches meeting to get to here in a little bit. I appreciate you being on the show, man. I really, really hope to have a drink with you and Tara, maybe at Tin Roof for good old times or something later this week.
Campus pub or something.
Campus pub or something. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get together. We'll get together for sure.
Amazing. All right, Jon, thank you for being on the show. You know the drill. Presented by MCHC. Until next time, brother.
We'll see you, buddy.
You know the drill with Wes Smith. Wes Smith. Presented by MCHC.